In the top of the fourth, here's a high fly to center field, and Pedro Castellanos is there and makes the catch. Talking about KeyBank assists, and we're so pleased to be joined by Jesse Sugarman from Hartford Promise and KeyBank Assists, assisting Hartford Promise. First of all, Jesse, welcome to Dunkin' Donuts Park.
Thanks so much for having us.
Talk a bit about Hartford Promise.
So we were founded in 2015. Our mission and purpose was to address the low percentage of Hartford public school students going to and graduating from college. So our model, we call it our integrated college success model, is we provide $5,000 a year for qualifying Hartford Promise scholars. We also provide what we call reaching back and reaching forward services. So we're embedded in 12 Hartford public high schools, providing services for on-track scholars, and also provide services for those scholars that are heading off to college. In order to qualify, our scholars need to have a 3.0 GPA in high school, 93% attendance, live in Hartford, and go to a Hartford public school. So these are really the best and the brightest and that the city of Hartford has to offer.
Matt McLaughlin fouls out. Here's Max George batting with 2 outs, nobody on base in the last of the fourth. How will Key Assists assist Hartford Promise?
And KeyBank has been a supporter, I want to call out, of Hartford Promise for the last few years. With this latest contribution that they've made, we'll invest that into our integrated college success model. So part of that will be allocated towards scholarship and also for the services, especially for our Hartford Promise scholars that are heading off to college, most of whom are back in the classroom for the first time in the last couple of years.
Here's a pitch that's outside for a ball. 3 balls and no strikes, the count on Max George. Give us a little more background on Hartford Promise. How did it all get started?
Yeah, so it was founded by a collection of champions in the city of Hartford, groups like Travelers, the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, other corporate support, and also public support. And again, it was really about there were approximately 20% of Hartford public school students that were going to and graduating from college. And we felt like there was just a lot of untapped potential in our Hartford public schools. Students that just needed the resources, students that were doing everything right. We wanted to see them be successful. Our student population, Promise Scholar population, 70% are lower income families, 75% first generation college students, 90% students of color. And so we've provided a lot of services because it's a new experience for their families, not just for the students that are going off to college. And we've seen tremendous success. We have 2 classes that have just graduated from college. They're now the young leaders in the city of Hartford, going to graduate school, working for the city, working for corporate partners throughout the area. And we have 4 classes that are in high school right now and all achieving.
You mentioned the students. How important is it, the interaction with the families of the students?
Yeah, I think it's making sure that families in the city of Hartford and that residents are, first of all, aware of Hartford Promise, that they know that these services are there, the financial support is there for them, so that when they're choosing the high school, that they pick a school that's eligible, and that they make sure that their children are on track to become Hartford Promise scholars. So the first is awareness. The second is having them understand the options that are available for them from a college perspective. Our scholarship is good at any college across the country, so we want to make sure they go to the school that's the best fit for them and the best institution, period. And then also, just being available. If they have questions about financial aid, if they have questions about how to navigate a college campus, if they have questions about how they can navigate, with the different resources that are available on the college campus, we want to make sure they feel comfortable. So that's a big part of our model.
Max George reaches on a 2-out bunt single. Here's Jose Gomez, who singled his first time up. The throw to first, and George gets back. 3-2, Yard Goats lead at 2 outs here in the last of the 4th inning. Now, what is the reaction of the students when they know, obviously, they've got to be disciplined, they have to show up, they have to do their homework, they have to study, but when they see the so-called rainbow at the end, when they have the opportunity to go to tremendous colleges?
Yeah, I think, we've been talking a lot to Promise scholars that are siblings, and I think that the question you bring up, we see it most of all with older brothers and sisters motivating their younger brothers and sisters, and so they're sort of the first one in their family that has gone to college, maybe the first one that's gone to a 4-year institution, maybe the first that's gone to a post-secondary. So there's just a tremendous sense of pride for those individuals and also for the families in them. And then it's their ability to motivate their younger brothers and sisters to also achieve, to know that you have to go to every class that spring semester of your senior year and you have to stay disciplined. that you want to challenge yourself in college, and just to understand that you're not going to be pigeonholed into one particular institution. You have options, and you can go to whatever's the best fit for you, because I think they can then see what life may be like after that college, because they'll be able to go to programs that are most relevant.
Max George steals second base. The count is 1-1 on Jose Gomez. So what you're saying then is it's important for the peers to be role models.
Absolutely. We want Hartford Promise to serve as motivation within the neighborhoods, because of the financial support, and also as they see their peers, their classmates, younger brothers and sisters, like I said, earn a Hartford Promise scholarship, just to understand that it's there, it's attainable, and it is an option that's viable for them as long as they go to school, as long as they live in the city of Hartford, and as long as they perform in the classroom.
And this whole concept that you talk about is so very important, because in order to navigate through going to college takes some ability and knowledge, right?
Absolutely. I think for a lot of students from any city, it may be the first time that they're away from home. And so just to understand simple things like, how do I do my laundry? How can I get along with my roommate? And then understand things that are much more significant, like how can I tap into financial aid resources? How do I connect with my advisor? What about office hours? Things to make sure they stay on track. A lot of these students are high performing, and as we know, college is a different level up in terms of academic complexities, and so we will make sure they feel comfortable in that transition. It may be the first time they get a C in their entire life, and they need to know that they can get over that. Absolutely.
Jose Gomez delivers a run-scoring single, so the Yard Goats lead at 4-2 with a two-out rally as Jamison Hanna settles in. Talking with Jesse Sugarman from Hartford Promise as Hanna fouls off the first pitch. Jesse, when you were on the field before the ball game, and Lakeisha Jordan said, well, we're going to round up that figure to a nice round higher number. What went through your mind when you heard that?
Well, the support from Key Bank has been really meaningful and significant. We feel like as a bank, they're experts in making investments, of course. And so the fact that they've deemed us as an organization worthwhile of making an investment in, and they understand how important it is to invest in our scholars and what that does for the city, is just really meaningful to us, very significant. And we think about every dollar and what that can do and impact a student's life. And it's not just their life. It's their families, like I said. It's their younger brothers and sisters, and it's their community. So it was really meaningful, and we really appreciate their support.
Well, when you think about it, Key Bank, very big on community involvement. And in a sense, what is Hartford Promise but community involvement, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think making an investment in the city of Hartford, and that's where there's a lot of symmetry between the two organizations. And like I said, we're really proud to have earned their support. I think when you make an investment in Hartford Promise, you're making an investment in the short term, but also in the long term. And the fact that they've made those contributions, and we can now start to guarantee the promise to students in middle school and hopefully for future generations, that's deeply significant.
And, you talk about Hartford Promise, and just to reverse it, there's a lot of promise in Hartford. I mean, take a look today. This full ballpark, construction going on beyond right field, and there's a certain vibrancy coming back to the city.
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't have a better day to be at a baseball game, and you couldn't have a better day to highlight the city, to see the city skyline behind the stadium, and to see the fans here enthusiastic, and also supporting nonprofits and supporting organizations that are doing really good work in the city. It feels like there's great momentum, and we're happy to be a part of that.
If Hartford Promise had one message to give to our youth, what would it be?
That they would understand their value, that they would understand how they can contribute to the city, and so that they can understand that the city is betting on them, and that people in the city really have their back, and really believe in them. That's what I would say.
Jesse Sugarman, thanks so much
for joining us. Thanks so much, Dan. Really appreciate it.
Jesse Sugarman from Hartford Promise, the latest recipient from Key Bank Assists.